So we've known that we've had to shift in a fundamental way, and that's true for all of us. Now, earlier today I spoke to Energy Secretary Stephen Chu, who, as you know, is a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. And he's been on the scene in the Gulf, deeply involved in our efforts to bring this crisis to an end. And we discussed today's attempt to stop the leak through what's known as the top kill, plugging the well with densely packed mud to prevent any more oil from escaping. If it's successful, and there are no guarantees, it should greatly reduce or eliminate the flow of oil now streaming into the Gulf from the seafloor. And if it's not, there are other approaches that may be viable. And as work continues in the next couple of months to complete relief wells, my administration's intensively engaged with scientists and engineers to explore all alternative options, and we're going to bring every resource necessary to put a stop to this thing. But a lot of damage has been done already. Livelihoods destroyed, landscapes scarred, wildlife affected, lives have been lost. Our thoughts and prayers are very much with the people along the Gulf Coast. And let me reiterate, we will not rest until this well is shut, the environment is repaired, and the cleanup is complete. And I look forward to returning there on Friday to review the efforts currently underway and lend my support to the region. But even as we are dealing with this immediate crisis, we've got to remember that the risks our current dependence on oil holds for our environment and our coastal communities is not the only costs involved in our dependence on these fossil fuels. Around the world, from China to Germany, our competitors are waging a historic effort to lead in developing new energy technologies. There are factories like this being built in China, factories like this being built in Germany. Nobody is playing for second place. These countries recognize that the nation that leads the clean energy economy is likely to lead the global economy. And if we fail to recognize that same imperative, we risk falling behind. We risk falling behind. "15 years ago, the United States produced 40% of the world's solar panels. 40%. That was just 15 years ago. By 2008, our share had fallen to just over 5%. I don't know about you, but I'm not prepared to cede American leadership in this industry, because I'm not prepared to cede America's leadership in the global economy. So that's why we've placed a big emphasis on clean energy. It's the right thing to do for our environment. It's the right thing to do for our national security, but it's also the right thing to do for our economy. And we can see the positive impacts right here at Solyndra. Less than a year ago, we were standing on what was an empty lot. But through the Recovery Act, this company received a loan to expand its operations. This new factory is the result of those loans. Since the project broke ground last fall, more than 3,000 construction workers have been employed building this plant. Across the country, workers in 22 states are manufacturing the supplies for this project. Workers in a dozen states are building the advanced manufacturing equipment that will power this new facility. When it's completed in a few months, Solyndra expects to hire 1,000 workers to manufacture solar panels and sell them across America and around the world. And this, in turn, will generate business for companies throughout our country who will create jobs supplying this factory with parts and materials. So there's a ripple effect. It's not just localized to this area. Meanwhile, down the road, we're seeing some other welcome signs. I know the closure of the NUMMI plant was devastating to this community, and thousands of jobs were lost. And it was all the more painful and heartbreaking because the factory had been held up as an example of how America could lead in manufacturing. But thanks to loans through the Department of Energy, which helped provide Tesla Motors with the financial wherewithal to expand, that shuttered plant is soon going to reopen. And once again, it will be a symbol of promise, an example of what's possible here in America. Tesla is joining with Toyota in a venture to put 1,000 skilled workers back to work manufacturing an all-electric car. And this is only the beginning. We're investing in advanced battery technologies to power plug-in hybrid cars. In fact, today in Tennessee, there's a groundbreaking for an advanced battery manufacturing facility that will generate hundreds of jobs. And it was made possible by loans through the Department of Energy, as well as tax credits and grants to increase demand for these vehicles. We used to account for about 2% of advanced battery technologies for cars. We're expecting in the next couple of years to get up to 20, 30, maybe even 40%, building our market share right here in the United States of America. We're investing in an advanced electricity grid. And Governor Schwarzenegger and I were just talking about this before we came out, because this has been a big priority for him. That'll be more efficient and better able to harness renewable energy sources. We're providing grants to build wind farms and install these solar panels, helping us double our ability to generate renewable energy. We're expanding our capacity in biofuels to reduce our dependence on oil. We've helped forge one historic agreement and are on track to produce a second to dramatically increase the fuel efficiency of America's cars and trucks. So we are making progress. It's progress that's going to produce jobs. It's going to help secure our future. But we've still got more work to do, and that's why I'm going to keep fighting to pass comprehensive energy and climate legislation in Washington. We're going to try to get it done this year. Because what we want to do is create incentives that will fully unleash the potential for jobs and growth in this sector. So already we're seeing the results of the steps we've taken. As I said, before the Recovery Act, we had the capacity to make less than 2% of the world's advanced vehicle batteries. In the next 5 years, we'll make 40% of these batteries here in the United States. Before the Recovery Act, we could build just 5% of the world's solar panels. In the next few years, we're going to double our share to more than 10%. Here at this site, Solyndra expects to make enough solar panels each year to generate 500 megawatts of electricity. And over the lifetime of this expanded facility, that could be like replacing as many as 8 coal-fired power plants. It's also worth noting, to achieve this doubling of our share of solar capacity, we actually need to make 4 times as many solar panels, because other countries are adding capacity too. Nobody in this race is standing still. So these steps are helping to safeguard our environment. They're helping to lower our dependence on oil. At a time when people are struggling and looking for work, these steps are helping to strengthen our economy and create jobs. And we all know how important that is, because times here in California are still tough. It's going to take time to replace the millions of jobs we lost in this recession. Unemployment remains high even though the economy is growing and has started adding hundreds of thousands of jobs each month. So it took years to dig our way into this hole. We're not going to dig our way out overnight. But what you are proving here, all of you, collectively, is that as difficult as it will be, as far as we've got to go, we will recover. We will rebuild. We will emerge from this period of turmoil stronger than ever before. That's not all. You're also proving something more. Every day that you build this expanded facility, as you fill orders for solar panels to ship around the world, you're demonstrating that the promise of clean energy isn't just an article of faith, not anymore. It's not some abstract possibility for science fiction movies or a distant future, or 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road. It's happening right now. The future is here. We're poised to transform the ways we power our homes and our cars and our businesses, and we're poised to lead our competitors in the development of new technologies and products and businesses. And we are poised to generate countless new jobs, good-paying, middle-class jobs right here in the United States of America. That's the promise of clean energy, and thanks to the men and women here today and the innovators and the workers all across America, it's a promise that we've already begun to fulfill. So thank you very much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.